breaks, there's a picture of a female thug, having just knifed a guy, looking very surprised to see a hulking man entering the red rage of compassion. From Warhammer 40,000. The reaction of an in-universe soldier to seeing a Chaos Champion being possessed by a greater daemon. Described in a few places in the background. One text box sidebar in either the Chaos Marines or Chaos Demons Codex describes an Eldar Autarch's reaction to seeing a Slaaneshi champion being possessed by a greater daemon. His initial reaction is to resign himself to die fighting, but then its magic takes over and he stands there staring at it as it eviscerates him. When the Imperium tacticians were trying to figure out how the Tyranid fleet was appearing at random locations far too quickly, and then realized that the Tyranid fleet was not coming at the galaxy from the edge, but from below the galaxy. You can see one single fleet's attack movements here. Remember that this is one fleet, the Tyranids likely have thousands. The Eldar, who are an entire race of smug, but very competent, snakes, get one just about whenever they realize that the monkeys or the barbarians are going to go down hard or win. Notable was at the siege of Auror's Sepulchre, when they deployed the avatar of Cain, a shard of the soul of their god, and the most powerful fighter in a craft world. Then Marnus Calgar beat it to death. To be honest, it was written by Matt Ward, who is terrible at writing good fluff. They retreated. Probably this was the mental reaction of the Imperial forces after they found out that Legion Strassa, a woman who had been genetically modified with Xenos DNA to absorb biomass through her skin and morph any natural weapon she needs and had consequently gone rogue, i.e. female Alex Mercer, had single-handedly wiped out an assault marine squad, the first company veterans of the Imperial Fists, the Culexus Temple Grandmaster, and nearly killed Captain Lysander. Generally this is the result of a squad having to take a leadership test. Sometimes it's psychic attacks or things like Ildari hallucinogen grenades, but most of the time, it's watching something very scary barreling at them with murder in its eyes, or half the squad dying horribly and slash or in quick succession and reasonably figuring that they are next if they don't get out of there. The Warhammer Fantasy Wood Elves Army book has a picture of Nestra, Arohan, and their dragon staring down a dwarven slayer, who has a priceless holy look on his face, although to be fair, he probably isn't complaining, or maybe he is reconsidering the choices that led him to this point. World of Darkness, every supernatural's reaction to the awakening of the Ravnos Antediluvian, a vampire a monster that existed and ruled over mankind before the flood, to consume all of his descendants. He dies after fighting with 3 equally godlike opponents, and surviving 3 spirit nukes to the face. It is this event, dubbed the Week of Nightmares, that puts the final nail in the coffin, signifying that the end of the world as we know it is finally here. 4 years later, other antediluvians start to awaken. Theater. In the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, this is Barfi's reaction when he discovers that the sticky floor won't allow him to use his magic foot to spell the word. Chip reacts similarly when he gets an erection right before he has to spell a word. In 1776, Franklin and then Jefferson realize that they're in serious trouble when Edward Rutledge asks for clarification about the anti-slavery clause in the Declaration. Franklin mutters "look out" when Rutledge first speaks, and Jefferson abruptly stands up when Rutledge starts to read it. Angels in America. Roy Cohn is halfway through gloating over finally managing to get Ethel Rosenberg to sing, when his heart rate monitor flatlines. He has just enough time to mutter "oh fuck," before collapsing. In the Book of Mormon, the 2 missionaries exiled to Uganda are painfully realizing that evangelization strategies tailored to affluent first world countries are not likely to work here. As Elder Cunningham is explaining Mormon theology to the local Ugandans, he comes to the foundation myth of how the Lamite people fell from sin and became accursed in the sight of God. As he tells a story which is perfectly acceptable in Utah and which was born in 19th century North America prior to the Civil War, it suddenly dawns on him. He is not evangelizing to white people. The tale of how the first black people were born, given the mark of Cain because of their sinful state, and made lesser beings in all their generations, is not going to get him a round of applause and a handshake. Hastily, he rescues the situation by substituting Chinese for black, which his congregation wholeheartedly agrees with. Note: in Lockage Auxiliary Falls, Albin habitually takes off his Zaza wig after performing the best of times, and, suddenly realizing he's unmasked himself to the Dindons, says, "Oh, merde." In The Cat and the Canary, lawyer Roger Crosby has one of these moments as his last line. As does Charlie, when he is unmasked by Annabelle. If he's not being a literal death seeker, Rudolph from Elizabeth initially reacts like this when Death and his Angels shows up for the Mayerling Waltz. Hamilton, that was my wife you decided to fuh. The last scene of Hamlet has a couple of these. Hamlet has one when Laertes informs him that he's been poisoned by the foil and he's got less than a half hour to live, a lot less, as it turns out. Claudius gets the next one when it becomes clear that the jig is up. Hamlet is finally sufficiently motivated to kill him, and no one's about to prevent it. Cinderella from Into the Woods has her "oh, crap" moment when she realizes that the current trouble they're in is due to her throwing away the bean the baker's wife gave her. In what might be a crowning moment of "oh, crap," Macbeth has two of these when it dawns on him he might have taken the witch's truths a bit too literally. Or, more accurately, not literally enough. Margin for error has Horst's panicked reaction as it dawns on him that the consul wasn't joking about having him rubbed out by a Jew on his next mission. Horst, his uncritical belief in his heroic destiny is suffering a terrible strain. "You're trying to murder me. I won't have it. If Berlin's so hard up for a martyr, let them send one over. And they'd better send someone to kill him." Consul, is the American Führer not prepared to die for his Nazi principles? Horst, incoherent with fear. "No. I mean yes I mean, I haven't finished my memoirs yet, Consul." The Führer asks nobody to do what he wouldn't do himself. Enjolras in Les Miserables gets one when he realizes that Les Amis are about to get obliterated by the French army because no one has come to their aid. "The people have not stirred, we are abandoned by those who still live in fear, let us not waste lives, let all women and fathers of children go from here." The Phantom of the Opera pretty much boils down to the title character causing a series of these reactions in everyone else. Falling Chandelier of Doom, anyone? Sir Ruthven Murgatroyd from Ruddigary has three, when Richard unmasks him, forcing the title and it's be a punch clock villain or die horribly curse onto him, one when he realizes his misdemeanors won't cut it and he has to cross the moral event horizon or die, and again when Dame Hannah, the maiden Gideon Krall has kidnapped on his orders, appropriates a BFS and challenges Ruthven. 6. The musical has both of the beheaded queens realize the trouble they're in. Anne Boleyn, "Oh my god guys, Henry S. really gonna chop my head off." Howard has one as Thomas Culpeper reveals he too wants her sexually. "Howard," he says, "we have a connection." In The Taming of the Shrew, Lucencio has switched places with his servant Tranio for the purposes of a zany scheme. Eventually, Tranio is told to produce his father and gets a pedant to impersonate Lucencio's dad. Everything's going well until Lucencio's real father shows up, at which point Tranio, the pedant, and Lucencio's other servant Biondello frantically deny knowing him and try to get him thrown in jail. Just when it looks as if this might actually work, Lucencio arrives on the scene. Biondello, "Oh, we are spoiled and yonder he is, deny him, forswear him, or else we are all undone." Lucencio, kneeling, "Pardon, sweet father." Vincentio, "Lives my sweet son?" Exeunt Biondello, Tranio, and pedant, as fast as may be. Toys. In Bionicle, Web of Shadows, King Sidorok and his queen-to-be Rudaka are in battle with the beast Ketung. As they go in for the kill, Rudaka suddenly bails out, and Sidorok realizes she didn't wound the Ketung, she pissed it off. "Congratulations, Sidorok, your second in command is the Starscream, and she's going to rule your armies without you. Berbye." Happens again in the Destiny War serial when Vezin uses the Mask of Dimensional Gates to teleport himself to the exact spot where Helrix and Ketung are in trouble. He jumps out of the portal and then happens to see the massive wave of destructive/mutagenic energized protodermis coming towards him. Much earlier in the comics, after the Toa Nuva overload the Barak Kal with their own power, LOGO says that its power cannot be turned against it. And then it notices the Exotoa pieces flying at it, attracted by its own magnetic pull. Barak don't have facial expressions, but you can feel the OhCrap when it sees the hunks of metal flying at it. Oh, no. Visual novels. Ace Attorney has plenty of these, both heroic and villainous. A villainous one is in Apollo Justice Case 4, when Christoph Gavin gets told that the murder he all but just admitted to committing is being tried by a jury, that just saw his huge streak of gloating. Then there's Ace Attorney Investigations where Edgeworth gets one when Callisto U pulls a gun on him after he does the usual corner the murderer thing. Matt Engard in the final case of the second game, when he realizes he's a dead man either way. The look combined with their villainous breakdown is one of the best moments in the series. It was also funny before when Shelley the Killer does an OhCrap through a radio. Complete with it falling apart multiple times and sweating oil. Not that it tops the others, but in the fifth case of the first game, Damon Gant. He gloats for about 10 minutes about how horribly he's going to punish Phoenix, Edgeworth, Lana, Emma, Gumshoe, and every single person who tried to turn the tables on him using a very critical item as evidence. A minute later, Phoenix reveals one contradiction in the evidence that results in an OhCrap moment where Gant literally screams at the very moment of realization that said evidence suddenly makes the situation even worse for him. A notable heroic one happens in the second case of Trials and Tribulations. Ron DeLite is found not guilty of larceny, due to having an airtight alibi. The OhCrap comes a moment later when it turns out said alibi places him at the scene of a murder that was just reported, and Ron is hauled back off to prison to be tried for murder the following day. Another spectacular one is at the very end of Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice, when Ga Ran is trying, and failing, to prove she has the spiritual powers needed to rule the land. She doesn't, and looks behind her to see her Praetorian Guard has just realized she's a fake, and thus an usurper, and are aiming her rifles at her, ready to execute her for her deception. As brief as it is in the middle of the breakdown, it's spectacular. In the Danganronpa series. In general, most culprits have one when they're caught. In Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc, the second culprit has one when the body is discovered and they realize the scene was tampered with after they left. In Danganronpa V3, Killing Harmony, Shuaki has a subtle one in the first trial right after he deduces that the culprit must have gotten the murder weapon, a shot-put ball, from the warehouse. He is remembering that Kaed had a shot-put ball when they left the warehouse. Double Homework has a couple of these moments. The protagonist has one when he realizes that his counter-blackmail conspiracy with Dr. Mosley/Zeta against Dennis won't work. Dennis also has one when he realizes that the cleanup crew wiped his storage devices, nixed all of his online accounts, and destroyed all his possessions. Fate/Stay Night. Gilgamesh vs Shiro at the end of UBW Route. To his credit, a lot of the fear is more irritation at the fact that some no-name brat just cut his arm off before he could even try using his wave motion sword. The OhCrap factor of the realization he is losing is still partially deflected by how gigantic his ego is. From the first route, both Kairi and Gilgamesh get a moment of this in their duels with Shiro and Saber respectively. Kairi gets his when Shiro survives 2 curses containing all the evils of the world, ever, past, present and future. To be fair, Shiro did use Avalon to survive the second one, before Shiro runs up and pooches his chest out via an explosive magical dagger. Gilgamesh gets his when Saber uses Avalon to block EA, his world-breaking wave motion sword, before she charges and cuts him in half with an Excaliblast. Gilgamesh gets quite a few of these, mostly when he realizes that yes, there are people who can beat him. From Heaven's Feel, there is the moment when True Assassin discovers that Ryder's chain dagger is lodged in his shoulder. Wall slamming ensues. Hatoful Boyfriend gives you 2 options when Yuya is confronted by Dr. Shiyu and he lies about having been with you a few moments beforehand. You can choose to go along with Yuya's lie. But if you choose to tell Shiyu that he's lying, Yuya has just one thing to say. Yuya, shit. In Katawa Shoujo, Rin has this when she realizes that on Friday night, she only has one more day to complete her mural before the festival on Sunday. Several in melody. The protagonist's reaction when Bethany shows up at the door of his new apartment. Hank's reaction when he realizes that Bethany tricked him into giving her backstage access to one of Melody's concerts also qualifies. Generally, any response from the protagonist that leads to a bad ending falls under this heading. In Sickness, this is said aloud by Suo right before he almost passes out after his first day of training. Domenico, When They Cry. Episode 6, From Shiromi Yakirie cannot save Battler to You told me I could make the detective proclamation whenever I wanted, right? Well, unfortunately, I am no longer capable of making that proclamation. In Episode 3, this is Eva Beatrice's reaction to Beatrice deciding to deny the existence of all witches, after which she panics but is held down by Renove until Beato's denial burns her away. Feedback. Video example, S. Ain't Wendell Wilk. Upon reading about gremlins who like to wreck planes with their diabolical sabotage, Bugs laughs at the idea of their existence, before shortly meeting a creature trying to set off the bomb he's sitting on. Bugs tries to help him out before quickly snapping to his senses, and upon notices that the little critter is gone, wonders if he just saw a gremlin. The creature in question confirms it before causing the rabbit to hop in pain. Example of griping about gremlins. The dragon speaks. Hot dogs. 18 the SC. Christine. Super Bew erased. Emerald of Kill. Renier. Kid Pirates Day. Fav. Mr. Information. Todd's death. Opening up the Ed's bad mood. El Mungo stink. Steamed with a Robo enforcers. My thighs. Cockadoodle who? The baby monitor. I hate you, th. Mooseberries. Jokermango's death. Ed goes to work. He named it the Laura Limpin. Uh-oh. Large brother. Evil Bew kills. Orange. Annoying orange. High jump. Midnight beer D. Code red. Encounter with. Saving the professor. Where's Kyoya? Solid tin coyote. Kiawe. Spike beats up Tom. Forgot about Bulletin. Vegeta vs. Geez. They won't let. Blitzy-kun. Evacuating Edora. Homicidal Colt. Eggman's worst. No free rides. Resurrections. Embarrassment. Previous. Index. Next. OC. Stand-in. Square peg round trope / L to P. Omnipresent tropes. Older than feudalism. PT / Indus de Traduco. The oldest ones in the book. Obligatory earpiece touch. Body language. Palm on cheek pose. Noticing the fourth wall. Realization index. Personal horror. Off-screen moment of awesome. No real life / tropes L to O. Old man marrying a child. Canadian Football League. Useful notes / Canadian history. Grim up north. Obviously evil. Just for fun / tropes of legend. The oldest ones in the book. N-word privileges. Administrivia / pothole magnet. Overly long gag. Obvious pregnancy. Quote source / comic strips. Outside genre foe. Offended by an enemy's indifference. Character reaction index. Ominous adversarial amusement. Nothing is the same anymore. Surprise tropes. Delayed oh, crap. Obliviously evil. Administrivia / image pick in special cases. Once upon a time. Now you tell me. Stock phrases. Oh God, with the verbing. Off-screen reality warp. Comedy tropes. Oh, crap. Fake out. Disney. Image source / Disney animated canon. Pinned to the ground. Offering another in your stead. Fear tropes. Oh, crap. Fake out. Off the wagon. Truth in television /M to O. Old flame fizzle. Show spoilers. Night vision. Sticky header. Wide load. Important links. Ask the Trope or Strope Finder Media Finder Trope Launchpad Tech Wish List Reviews Go Ad Free. Crucial browsing. Resources. Advertisement. Top. Edit page. Related. History. Discussion. To do. More.